Right. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory and honor to Yahweh, Bashim Yahushua, Bashim Kapudash. I want to give double honor to the apostle, Jim Sevolo and a peace, blessing, salutations to the hopeful elect that consists of you Hebrew Israelites. And Lord's will you be edified. This is Shukaka Rob from GMS, Virginia. Lord's will, again, Lord's will you be edified. Top is going to be present state that we're in, involving, how you say, men and women. I'm going to start off with 1 Corinthians 10, what Paul spoke on. This is in the GNT. So it says, now to deal with matters he wrote about. Because one thing, matter of fact, let me see. Let me start off with this. I have to know the times that we're living in. And we're living in very evil times. I'm going to get Isaiah 33 and 6. And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy tongue, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure. Let me see. Okay, measurement. Let me see what comes up. Where's the scripture? All right. First, Salaki. Is it this one? Here it is. Damn, Salaki. Second Edges 9 and 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before. Verse 2, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of these things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. So we understand in prophecy is being fulfilled. We also understand in the scriptures, it tells you the love of many shall wax cold. And you understand that the so-called white man has destroyed his society and is destroying it even more to set up the new infrastructure and the new world order, and ultimately bring the object that he's going to put inside the American people and the people across the four corners. So you have to know the times that we're living in. Hold on real quick. Because this is going to help you with this walk in this journey of controlling your sexual drive as men. You know, we all have testosterone and we have a sexual urge and a sexual drive. So one thing that you want to pretty much want to master is that one of those urges, and that is your sexual drive. We understand many men have lost their wits because of women. We understand a lot of men have lost themselves and have gotten themselves into so many wicked acts and just a lot of perverse activity due to their sexual urges. And understanding this society, is ass backwards. The concept of we all want more than one woman, but it's not in this society in America is not tolerated. is looked at as the most worst thing, the most vile thing ever. But it's, all in all, there's nothing wrong with it. But the average woman in America is not going for it, and thus we're here in America. So um, there's just certain things you have to just really consider and be mindful of. So it's going to be rough, but you have to control your urges. And we understand, freakism is being pushed, and even as women, the push of whoredom is being pushed. So First Corinthians, let me see, 7. This is in the GNT. So it says, a man does well not to marry, but because again, you got to understand, none of these women that were born in this society, they were not taught to be wise. They were taught, careers, whoredom, to hate men, feminism, sexual liberation, etc. And this society is constantly geared to destroy men and destroy how men operate. And also, a lot of men have been turned out. So a lot of men pretty much have what Esau have done is made men look stupid, and there's been a lot of ridicule on men. So men just have a bad rep. So continuing on, but because there's so much immorality, and it is because the society has been pushed in sexual liberation, LGBTQ, etc. This is every man should have his own wife, and every woman should have her own husband. So it states that due to you don't get caught up with the nastiness and the perverseness out here. A man ought to have a woman, and a woman ought to have a man. But even we're all digging in the dumpster here. By the time you grow up, these women grow up, they're scarred. Half of them don't have a father. A lot of them have been tossed to and fro, been touched on, been groped on, gang banged, etc. And a lot of men, you men are as well. We just lack a lot of mental fortitude. So it says, and another thing with us men, you gotta understand, we don't have the riches right now or the power. Our image has been destroyed. So it says, a man should fulfill his duty as a husband, and a woman should fulfill her duty as a wife, and each should satisfy the other's needs. Let me see. A wife is not the master of her own body, but her husband is. In the same way, a husband is not the master of his own body, but his wife is. So all in all, we all, both of y'all have a duty to, pretty much, sexual pleasure each other. Y'all needs. Just like in this society too. One thing about is taught these women, once you get the so-called ring from a man, that's when you withhold your pleasure. You know, uh, Overall, the whole aspect of men and women getting together has been tainted and destroyed. And this was purposely designed for this so they can usher in the New World Order, bring AI activity in this New World system in a break. Because that's one of the uh, um, it's an old website. It's called the Illuminati Checklist, and that's one of the agendas. And you also the New World Order agenda one was to break the households, break the man, because it tells you it's an order. If you're a Hebrew Israelite, it's an order is Yahweh Shah, the husband, the wife, and then the children. But Esau came in being a serpent, the devil that he is. He pretty much broke everything, and now he has turned the woman against the man and allowed the woman to pretty much be the breadwinner, gave her liberation, and pretty much allowed her to be simple, fickle, weak, soft, and emotionally driven to the point where anything that she believes and thinks she's able to do so, and then be pushed and backed by this society. The whole society pushes and vouches for her to destroy her marriage, relationship, in the family, in the kids. and then they allow the kids to go with her. So pretty much a woman can sabotage everything, and she takes everything. And again, this is how society is structured. But all in all, you know, when you look at the concept of marriages was to join families, and you bring in children, and y'all are both through the children supposed to worship Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah. And as a man, he has his duties to do, and as a woman, she has her duties to do. Y'all both are not supposed to withhold sex from each other, etc. Um, but in this society, again, it's ass backwards. But it says, yeah, do not deny yourselves to each other unless you first agree to do so for a while in order to spend your time in prayer, but then resume normal marital relations. And this way you will be kept from giving into Satan's temptation because of your lack of self-control. But we understand Satan is all in the midst of these women and men in these relations. So just jumping down, let me see. So going down to 25, because you got to understand, if you are a man in this society, if you don't have a woman, it's not best you go out there and get one. I'm gonna speak more on that as well, and even in you women, it's best, how can I say this? When the time is right, you'll find, Yahweh Mashiach Shah will direct you to find a man that's, that's for you, whatever. But no, nonetheless, verse First Corinthians, what is it, 7? So hold on. Yeah, 7 and 25. It says, now concerning what you wrote about unmarried people, I do not have a command from the Lord, but I give my opinion as one who, by the Lord's mercy, is worthy of trust. Considering the present distress, because, it's messed up out here. You can go out and about. You can go to the, your local towns. Every town is different. You can go to, you can use these dating apps, whatever. And majority of the time you come across these women, get through. And as a man, we all seek to be, husbands and, have wives and deal with women and be the head of household, etc. But it's even in the scripture that tells you if a man doesn't have a wife, he pretty much goes up gadding abroad. But nonetheless, you have to control your loins. And that's, and if you don't, this world can burn you out. It can leave you feeling depressed. You go out sometimes, you try to cold approach these women. You try to go out someday, go on dates, whatever. And be honest, jokes aside, you really gonna learn people by really, you're not gonna learn anybody from a date. That whole concept was for Esau to bring in, the love and the cares of this world. And due to, this society's coddling for these women has brought about a lot of just stupid, how you say, businesses to come afloat. Ice cream parlors, etc. Little just stupid places that, if family structures were in place, none of these shits would, be run up and running. Your Wawas and your 24-hour eating spots and etc. You get what I'm saying? But I think it is better for a man to stay as he is. So as Paul was speaking, he was single. He didn't have a woman. It's best if you, possibly can, not to seek a woman, because again, dealing with these women, it can burn you out. It can mess up your ego. You know, end of the day, you're not really gonna, this whole concept of taking a woman out on a date, movie night, whatever. That when you really look at that, that's really gifts for if a woman really been dealing with you, she had your back, and she been down for you. You don't take no new broad out that you don't even know because, like for instance, you can just meet a shorty you out and about. You had a little spot, whatever. You get her number, but things progress. You finding out, because nobody's really gonna be up front anymore. They want to linger you around, and a lot of these women, these women trying to get money out you, free meals, etc. But you're really not gonna learn somebody in one, couple of dates. You really, um, knowing their parents, their father, she have a father, um, her peers. It's not it's you're not the whole concept of the dates and you spending $300 a date or whatever. It's all bullshit. And all I say all of this to say this. It's best to just go the flat rate and go ahead and get it out of the way. We're grown men. We know what we want, and 9 times out of 10, when you're going out and about here, you used to be able to just go to the grocery market, the corner store, whatever, and bag something, and something comes out of it. But where you go today, nothing's coming from it but heartache and pain. So it says, do you have a wife? Then don't try to get rid of her. And that's if you do. You know, if you can, I guess make things work. If not, hey, let it be because you know if a woman thinks the grass is greener, they let her find out. And like it says earlier, because it's a pervert. Like the scripture said, the Lord is how you say meant to mingle the perverse spirit out here, and it tells you in opening. It says, but because there is so much immorality out here, you know. So if a woman is not happy to deal with you and pleased to deal with you, just let her go. There's no need to beg her. We're not in the Motown era. We're not in that old New Jack Swing. We were finding those things out. It wasn't to be true. The Barry White, the Al Green, etc., the Smokey Robinson, and the Temptation, and furthermore, the Marvin Gaye, etc. But it says, but if you do marry, let me see, are you unmarried? Then don't look for a wife. But if you do marry, you haven't committed a sin. And if an unmarried woman marries, she hasn't committed a sin. But I'd rather spare you the everyday troubles that married people still have. Because there's many troubles because, this whole society is not back for it. It's not just you. It's not supposed to be just you and your woman. It's supposed to be, everybody is supposed to back marriage. Her father, her mother, her peers, her family. Your families are supposed to gotten together. Then you can read the book of Tobit, about marriage. You Marriage is supposed to be a beautiful thing, and ultimately, when a man take of a woman, his wife, they're not supposed to pretty much break up ever. A man's supposed to have the power, the resources to provide, but in this society, we understand being a man is not a cool thing. You're pretty much ridiculed because you are a man, but they did it for a reason because they got to bring in that new world order. And the thing about it, these women fall for it. They have fallen for um, the serpent's poison, that bite. Let me see. Yeah, what I mean, my friends, is this: there's not much time left, and it isn't, because what? The Lord is taking the time short. Like the scripture says, if the Lord didn't take the time short, we all would have been in Sodom and Gomorrah. Because look at just look at what women are into, and just look at half of these men are into. A lot of men are popping trannies. A lot of women love trannies. A lot of women love by men. A lot of men are getting women to peg them. It's just a freak show out here. It says, and from now on, married people should live as though they were not married. Those who weep as though they were not sad. Those who laugh as though they were not happy. Let me see. Because you got to understand. Matter of fact, let me continue on. Those who buy as though they did not own what they bought. So it's best to have a balance. Those who deal in material goods as though they were not fully occupied with them, for this world as it is now will not last much longer. So it's best. Let me see. So verse 32, I would like you to be free from worry, and a married man concerns himself with the Lord's work. And that's the agenda, the Lord's work. That's the main goal, the Lord's work. And this pretty much is the whole purpose of this video is the Lord's work, and not to, these women have so much fucking game with them. You go on these red pill content, and it's good to watch it, to stay up on it, because all these women are, they're not sincere. They all of them want something out of you, money, attention, and all of them are fucking broken. I'm not really focused on, the how you say the elect lady as of right now, but this is just a video basically for the men. Our agenda is, and our concern, our focus should be on the works of the Lord, and not to be your focus and your main concern not taking off the goal, because it says but a married man concerns himself with worldly matters because he wants to please his wife, and so he is pulled in two directions. And how much more today, because man, these women got so much shit with them. You would think, woman, the hell is wrong with you? Why you want to constantly go out and about? Us men, we can be happy just sitting in the crib. Maybe go to the ABC store, go to the market, get a bottle of wine, whatever, and just stay at the crib, listen to music, study, read scriptures. We all have our hobbies, and so be it. Women coming along, it's just, especially these women today. Let me go back to Romans. Let me go to Romans. Salaki. So Romans 1. I just want to get to the main point, because like verse 24 and 25 says, because our people serve the creature more than Yahweh Shah. So Romans just started verse 26. Romans 1:26, because they do this, Yahweh Shah has given them over to shameful passions. So since our people have not taken on the covenant, or remember themselves, or rethought themselves, or just really bethink themselves in their captivities, the 2/3, and majority of these women you come across, the fucking 2/3, they're not gonna make it. That's why you got to watch out that when you're dealing with these women, they're into a lot of shameful passions. A lot of women out here, their best friends are moles, and they don't look at it as a problem. And again, they're just into so much. Half of these girls got niggas they're talking to, simps that's paying them, and they might have OnlyFans, and they're just into too much shit. But another thing too, Esau really has, got these women really on a survival mode right now, so they can't really fuck with you. because they're trying to survive. And another thing too, when you really get it, you can't blame them. You know, it is what it is. They're spoils of war, and they're trying to survive, and that's what they're gonna do. Women are gonna do what they got to do to make it, whatever. But as men, you got to understand. You're dealing with an enemy. You're not dealing with a wife. A woman were not geared to be wives. The scripture says your wife should be a whore, a harlot in the city. So you got to really take these things into consideration while moving and walking in this world, in this present condition that we're in. So it says even the women pervert the natural use of their sex by unnatural acts. Women don't want to they don't want to give you the box. They want to hold it above you. They want to play games with it. I say I use the cat mouse, the dog cat, or it's the cat analogy in general. Women are like cats. You can look up a video on it and just look how cats act. Pretty much you just leave a bowl on the porch, fill it up. They come whenever. But you get what I'm saying. These women, they just got too much shit with them. That's why, the flat rate. So it says, because again, you're getting what you want, and you get to go back home. You're not wasting any time. You're not getting caught up. And because again, it's read Sirach 25:26. It tells you a woman that doesn't uphold her husband is basically, I forgot how it go, but she's no good. And a woman that doesn't support her husband is like a old man in his old age trying to walk up a sandy hill. And also tells you in the book Sirach 25:26, it tells you how pretty much if a woman that's pretty much isn't going or behind her husband, it takes pretty much he dies early. It's very stressful. And again, these women, they're not for you. They're all just looking for what they can gain and take from you. These women can't even cook. They're not loyal. They can't control their emotions. They can bring harm your way. They're not a pillar of rest. They can't do nothing for you. All they looking is what you can do for them. What you can do for them. But then, when you're doing these things for them, it's just like a dead end. You're not really getting anything from it. But then you really look at it like, damn, I'm doing all this shit for this broad, for some box, and it's not even completely mine. It's everybody's. So you just got to understand why am I, I'm trying to make sure this girl car good. I'm getting her in the right. I'm steering her in the right direction. I'm keeping her emotions intact, her mentality, her mental good. If something happens, she called me. I'm handling the situation, and but yeah, she, how you say, I get the box every once in a while, and that, but it's not completely mine. So my point is this: why are you doing it for? Why are you doing it for? Save your money up. Look onto things that's going to make you better as a man. Look out for the brother. How can you help the men? How can you edify the flock? So it says, because in all actuality, wives are supposed to get that treatment, not whores and sluts. Verse 27, the same way the men give up natural sexual relations with women and burn with passion for each other, men do shameful things with each other, and as a result, they bring upon themselves the punishment they deserve for their wrongdoing. And we've got to remember, a lot of these women that we come across have dealt with men that go this way, by men that like trannies, etc. Weird dudes and just freakazoid men. And then here it is, you come along and you're trying to fix this broad, man, no. So it says, verse 28, because those people refuse to keep in mind the true knowledge about Yahweh Shem Shai. Now, again, our people have become Gentiles, straight heathens. He has given them over to corrupted minds so that they do the things that they should not do. So again, at one point, you would never in your life used to hear the so-called black woman doing anal or just the shit that you hear these black women doing. It's like back in the day, you would never see so-called black men freaky as they are today. But at this 1960, the drugs, the sexual liberation, the LGBTQ community came in, our people went downhill. And you know, in the 1990s, when I was born, and you know, grew up in 2000s, and thus this day, man, niggas have become freaky as hell. Because they are filled with all kinds of wickedness, evil, greed, and vice. And this is man and woman. And you know, majority of these women that we come across, they dealt with niggas like this. So that's in them. You know, a lot of niggas are on drugs, and you know that those drugs have, you know, these niggas have put their semen in these women that's filled with all types of, you know, whatever, basically his DNA. So the nigga was on cocaine, etc. It's in that woman as well. They are full of jealousy, murder, fighting, deceit, and malice. They gossip and speak evil of one another. They are hateful to Yahweh Shem Rashah, insolent, proud, and boastful. They think of more ways to do evil. They disobey their parents. And remember, you know people really of their parents, their stock, their family lineage, who was your father, you know, how was your parents? What did your parents instill in you? How do you honor your parents? That's how you really know who a person is. How do they, how do they treat their peers? But, you know, majority of these people today, they don't get along with their families. You got women today, her moms don't get along. They hate each other. They ready to kill it. They're ready to murder each other. And then you come to find out this broad don't even know her father and hate him too. So you got a lot of people that they're just gone. No guidance, no structure, no nothing. They just out here, and they're bouncing back and forth from evil to wickedness to just whatever. So it says they think of more ways to do evil. They disobey their parents. They have no conscience because these women will prey off you and are predators. And they will do this without no conscience. It's like it's second nature. So again, you have to think twice before dealing with a majority of these women out here because majority of these women have come across dudes that are just involved in all sorts of shit, you know. They do not keep their promises. Yeah, women say they'll love you. Oh, I love you, daddy. This and that and such, blase, blase. Talk a real good game. Fucking they speak politically correct. They can be good for politics, man. Because majority of our women are good fucking professional liars. Talk a real good game. You know, if a lot of men took DNA tests, they'll be amazed how many children that is not theirs. And another thing too, again, society doesn't punish these people. You know, they pretty much pat them on the back. They get culture. How you say they get praised, especially now. You know, if you're freaky, you get praised, and they show no kindness or pity for others. They know that Yahweh Bashir law says, well, they know it now because the prophets are out there, and they're getting these videos. Spirit of Yahweh Bashir. So it said they know that Yahweh Bashir law says that people who live in this way deserve death. Yet not only do they continue to do these very things, but they even approve of others who do them. So again, misery loves company. And again, that's why you have the sisterhood. They praise other women to destroy their households, commit adultery on men and their husbands, uh, murder, deceit, lie, steal, robbery, and the list goes on. These women, a lot of these women have a lot of blood on their hands. And again, going back to First Corinthians, the 7th chapter, it's in the early verses it states, if you have a woman, have a wife, and you a woman that has a husband, man, seek not to, pretty much try to keep it clean, try to stay together, because there's nothing out here. The grass isn't greener. And if you, like it says, in the latter verses, starting at 25, if you're not unmarried, man, especially as a man, don't seek no woman out here. Just go ahead and pay the flat rate. And that's just me, touching bases on even what Paul spoke, using that wisdom, because you got to understand the times are evil. But let me go ahead and wrap this thing. I didn't mean to make it this long. With that, I'm saying shalom.